this used to be a mandarin tree, a grafted mandarin tree, and Jack actually wants to pull that out for the reason that it's actually not a mandarin anymore, but the rootstock has gone through. You can see that it's quite spiky, and it gives me some space to talk about the problem of grafting. So what you essentially do when you graft is you try to clone a variety that you already have, that you think is good, and you want to put it somewhere else. So what you do is you take another tree and you take its life, you cut it off, and you put that variety you have on top. So, and that sounds a bit like cheating, and it is. And this is why this happens. So if we roll back a bit and we think about citrus, the whole pool of citrus, like ranging from the sweetest pomelo you can think of, the sweetest orange you can think of, to the smallest desert lime that you can think of. And if you think about it, where would a pomelo grow, like in tropical Thailand, and a desert lime in the driest country? It's kind of, they're all the expression, they're a different expression. It's like they're a different chapter in the book of citrus, and they're all the corresponding expression to the environment, to the conditions given. So basically what we're trying with grafting is we want to get around that. Like the soil, like if we would put a seed here in this ground, chances are there's no food. It's just not good enough here to have a bearing tree of loads of sweet fruit. It's just there's nothing, it's like, if you're like, how can a mother that doesn't have enough food for herself feed a baby in her womb? It's not possible. So that's why it becomes a desert lime. It's going to be very small, loads of seeds, because it doesn't have much to give. So basically what you're trying with grafting is you're being like, okay, there is not much, but you should give much anyway. So we're going to transplant you here, and then we're wondering why they're all sick and why we have to spray them. So that's one of the biggest problems in modern agriculture, that we try to cheat our way around on the fact that we have depleted the soil and the environment so much that it doesn't have the strength, it doesn't have the food, the conditions to actually give out, to be abundant and give out something. So, and this is possibly why this happened. So this spiky bush lemon is just much, much more adapted to that mandarin. So it was like, I'm gonna throw that mandarin off because I'm not gonna survive as a mandarin. So that is why I grow everything from seed, and why it's so important to set the conditions right, because then we're gonna get easily, seeding is the easiest thing you can do. The cassowary does it aimlessly if you go to Kuranda. It doesn't have to do anything. So coming back to the point, what we have to do generally is improve the condition. That's the soil, that's plants we plant around it, and that's the whole environment. So it matters what's on your around you. So it has been proven that electric density is one of the electromagnetic field is one of the most important conditions for good growth of plants. And that can only work on a large scale. The more life there is, the more forest, the more recovered the land is, and the less deserted.
More biodiversity?
The more diversity and abundance there is, the higher amounts of life, and thus electrons, and thus conditions there are for a tree to actually have such good conditions that it can bear a good fruit.
So a lot of people go for the grafting because it'll take a couple of years or more to get the fruit. What would you say to that?
And that's just basically, it's again a shortcut, because if you graft, you actually take from a tree a branch that's already 2 years old, so you have basically, you gain 2 years. But as we heard from Sylvie today, she had a Relinia from seed like having a fruit after 1.5 years, and I actually know from as a fact of an apple tree that fruited after 1 year. So it's not even a fact. But again, it comes down to the conditions. If you give it the seedling bad conditions, it will only after 10 years have the strength of it. So
And then we were talking about marcotting and the fact that we could potentially bring the tree back to the mandarin if we use marcotting on the branch of the mandarin, and we could get a true seed from that.
So basically, marcotting is one step in the right direction. It basically is a tree on its own root. It's a fully functioning tree, but you could still think of it more as a branch of a tree that you give the possibility of being a tree. It's not a full tree. So Russian fruit breeding experiments have proven that adaptation only ever works through seeds. And where you get those seeds from very much depend on how good your results are going to be. So if you have a tree, a mother tree that's already a seedling, that's already healthy, that will increase the quality of your tree like strongly. Whereas a marcot, if you marcot from a tree, if you marcot from this tree and this tree has grown here and you marcot it to here, that'll be okay because the conditions are so similar. But if you marcot from a mandarin tree that's actually grown in Italy and you put it here, the conditions don't match very well, and it has to be a very sick tree because only the seed will adapt 100%. All the others, you could say, are like old people that you have forced to live somewhere else, and because they have been forced, they don't want to adapt. And in
that's
fact,
so
they
sad.
cannot.
That's kind of what we do, isn't it, in our society?
We force them.
Yeah. So with the marcot, say, like if we want to bring things back from what is grown already, so if we marcot that mandarin over to here, and then we get the seeds off that mandarin and then we grow those seeds out, then we've got the true seeds back again from that 2 generations, right? From
to put it
a
more
real
simply,
tree.
To put it more simply, we try, what we should do, and what I'm doing in my nursery, maybe I should say that, is to try to get the most healthiest find the most healthiest mother trees. So basically what you want to try is marcot, which means get a true rooted tree first, and take seeds from that. That makes sense. But if we could already find a seedling that's very healthy and has very good quality fruit, a very healthy mother tree, and then take those seeds. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yes, so absolutely.
If I can give you an example, there has been a black sapote brought into Australia in the 70s, and there's a very beautiful tree down in Myola, and the quality of that fruit is just much higher than any other black sapote. So that's the kind of seed that I'm seeding that right now. I'm propagating that because
wonderful.
And the same we should do for mandarins.
Absolutely. So one of the reasons that I'm asking this question is we have this really wonderful citrus farm in Koa. They've been growing for over 50 years, and they are using chemicals, but less chemicals. They're working more with the soil. They're doing different things. So they're going in the good direction. And one of the brothers that's working with the oranges, he's talking about potentially getting new oranges in. So they would be grafted trees. So I'm thinking, because those oranges are so beautiful, they're really sought after oranges, I'm thinking, how would it be if we marcotted those oranges and got those plants going from that? Because he's going to put those new plants in anyway. So to kind of keep those good oranges going.
It would make sense. So I would say that's a very good example for what groups like ours should do, what seed savers should do, is we basically need two types of people. We need savers and we need explorers. So we need people that gather the varieties that are still existent and save them as they are. And for that, marcotting is the best possible way to do it, if that's possible with that species. So we need, and we could say that for vegetables and all types of good varieties. So we need to find them, and we need to find the best way to keep them as they are, and because then we can use them as a genetic base, as a genetic bank, and also go from there and explore. So we also need people that take the seeds from those, and maybe in an orchard where there's and that's, for example, at Fruitopia, there's loads of seedling jackfruits that are very good, and they've cross-pollinated. So we need someone to see those out and see what else there could be in the future. So I think for seed saving, that's the two things we should do. We should look into keeping the good stuff, because that's our base for future better adapted, even better things, because that's possible too. We have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, beautiful. And just to clarify, the exploring that we're talking about is in the field, organic, hands-on, hearts on exploring with the true seeds, not exploring in laboratories and jabbing genes. We're not talking that kind of exploring. We're talking about the true adventure of life.
And I would like to, and I'm going to talk on my YouTube channel about this type of fruit breeding that doesn't go by the laboratory, but that goes outside by improving the conditions and how we can improve that conditions. And that goes very much along the lines of, regenerative agriculture, organic and syntropic farming, because they all go in that direction.
Yeah, because that syntropic farm over at Tolga, they've had a lot of trees fruiting very young from seed. From true seed. Everybody can go and have a look at that. Thanks so much, Julius. That was a really great talk, and I'll just put the link for your YouTube channel on for everybody too. Thank you.